Hi, everyone, and welcome. My name is Marvin Jenkins, and I'm the coordinator for the Women's Business Center for Maryland Capital Enterprises. We're a nonprofit organization. We assist entrepreneurs who are either starting a new business or expanding their existing business. We service the Eastern Shore of Maryland, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Anne Arundel County, and we've also added recently Calvert and Harford counties. We offer a lot of educational programs and workshops like the one you're on today. We offer one-on-one consulting and counseling, as well as business loan assistance. We have two offices, one in Salisbury, Maryland, and the other in Baltimore, Maryland. Um, I will be sending out the link to the recording of this workshop, and you'll have all my information in case you need to reach out to me. And I'll also have on there our YouTube channel, which has a lot of other webinars that we've recorded. And with that, I want to thank you for joining us for the Mbe.Dbe.Sbe workshop, part two. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rosalind Davis, who does these for us, and she does such a wonderful job. And if you have any questions as you go along, she'll be more than happy to answer them, and she does a great job. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Rosalind, and we can get going.
All right. Thank you very much, Marvin, for that introduction. Welcome, everyone. I hope you're staying safe and warm. We appreciate you taking the time to be part of this workshop. This is part two. Hopefully, you were present for part one last week, but if not, we're just going to do a brief overview of part one. I'm going to put in the chat because I'll always get this question is where do I go to get certified? So I'm going to put that link in the chat, and it's through the Maryland Department of Transportation. Now, if at any time during this workshop you have questions, please stop, raise your hand, put it in the chat. Marvin will monitor the chat. He will also see hands raised. So feel free to ask your questions when you have it. Don't wait to the end and then forget your question. Periodically, I will take a break during specific sections to see if there's any questions. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, again, I am Rosalind Davis. I'm the president and CEO of Rhoda Business Solutions, where we specialize in organizational assessments, business process improvement, change planning, strategic management. We also do workforce development, where we'll do professional development training, coaching, and we do overall general administration support. We are based in Maryland, and as you can see, we hold several certifications. So we kind of an authority on how to get certified, definitely in the Maryland Department of Transportation. So here's our part two agenda. We're going to do a brief recap of part one. We're going to talk about the airport concession DBE certification. We're also going to get into required documents. We're going to go over the document list. There is a section for mandatory. There's also a section for if applicable. And then we're going to wrap up with some key takeaways and conclusion. So from the part one of the workshop, we went through section 1 through 4, all of these specific areas. And as you can see from this dashboard view, this individual has completed all those sections as indicated in green. If there was a section that still needed to be completed, it would be in red. So this is a good visual to show you where you're at in your application. I also want to mention that applying for the certification is free, so you don't have to pay someone to do this for you. Essentially, if you do elect to pay someone, you are basically providing all the information that's required to a third party just so that they can upload it and charge you a fee. So just consider doing it yourself. It is intensive. It requires a lot of planning, a lot of document collecting, but it can be done. Just allot yourself the time to do it. So this one we're going to talk about is the airport concession, which is the ACDBE. It is a separate call out because not everyone wants to have an airport concession business to do work at our local airports. So airport concession, ACDBE. Now, this one will also require, because it has the DBE, which is Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, is part of its acronym. You will also have to complete the social disadvantage narrative now that is required for disadvantaged business enterprises, and then this ACDBE. And we'll get into that particulars when we get to the document section. So what it's asking you is, are you applying for this? And you just answer the question, applicable yes or no. And do you own any off-airport locations? In this case, this particular individual chose not to go for the airport concession because there is an additional requirements for airport concession. What we're going to focus on is basically the general audience of people who want to get the DBE, MBE, and SBE, which is the disadvantaged business enterprise, minority business enterprise, and small business enterprise. And there is a way that you can get all those certifications at one time, which is through the uniform certification. Jeanette, I see you clapping for that. Which is the uniform certification application. They highly recommend that you apply for all three of these, maybe all four at one time, because you're going to submit the same documentation, answer the same questions. It's best to just apply for all of them that you are eligible for at one time. So getting into the document list mandatory. Before I do this, Marvin, I just want to pause to see if anyone that was around for part one, if they had any questions about part one.
No, Jeanette has a question. Do you provide mentors?
The Maryland Capital Enterprise provides assistance.
We provide assistance, yes. If that answers. She's asking, how do I figure out which insurance my business will need? That's something that we can, I mean, if when I send out my the link to this webinar, I'll give you some information on that. But usually we leave that up to you to contact your insurance, whoever you deal with for insurance, and they should be able to help you with what types of insurance you do need. But I can give you more information on that.
Okay. Any more questions, Mark?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Oh, she said one more. Go ahead, Jeanette.
I'm sorry, I put it in the chat. I was asking, does concession cover any kind of business at the airport? Because mine doesn't, what I want to do is not food or drink or anything. So that's the concession part is, I'm confused with that part. What does that cover? Anything, any kind of business?
No, it does not. So you need to make sure that that's the industry that they're looking for the airport concession. And when you go into the link that I provided, it will give you more details as to what type of businesses or industries they're looking for.
Oh, it's specific. Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, mandatory documents. And so these are all the documents, regardless of your business structure, regardless of what industry you're in, that you have to provide for the certification application. The first one is the application itself. So the link that I provided in the chat, go to that link and decide which of the certifications you want to apply and what is your business structure. So whether you're a limited liability, you're a corporate corporation, you would download that particular application. And what they're asking in this particular attachment is for you to complete that application, which unfortunately it's manual. You actually have to write in your information It is not a fillable PDF. So you would need to write in that information. And once it's completed, you will come back and upload a copy of that application. The next is your declaration of eligibility. It is a form that you would download. They provide you the download link, and you would complete that if these apply to you for eligibility for these particular certifications, and then you would upload that. Documented proof of contributions. So they're looking for your business license that you perhaps paid to Maryland Business, your SDAT, saying that you are in good standing, your certificate and receipt for that. They're also looking for things such as if you purchase a domain for your company's website, whatever other type of documentation that you can provide as proof of contributions towards standing up your business. And if it says if ownership was acquired through a gift, you're going to have to provide detailed description of that gift. Basically, how did you acquire that gift of becoming that business owner? Yeah. Resumes. In part one, we talked about the resumes and what needs to be included in your resume. So those things as who manages the day-to-day operations, who makes the financial decisions. Again, make sure all those things are in your resume for your industry. And if you perhaps say that you are a daycare provider, yet you don't have qualifications written in your resume, that's a red flag. So you want to make sure that the services that you're offering to sell are in your resume. And then proof of citizenship, it's pretty clear you need a birth certificate and a government issue photo identification, such as a driver's license or a state ID. Personal financial net worth statement. This is on part one, we talked about, there was a question that asked, what is the personal net worth of the owner of a business? And you had to add that dollar amount. For instance, if it was $1,000, you need to make sure that your personal net worth statement, which is a form that you complete, you download it and complete it, that number that you come up with for your personal net worth matches that question that was in section 1 through 4 of the application. The personal net worth statement, there are different worksheets that tell you specifically what information they're looking for, and then it will tie back to page 1 of the personal net worth. I will caution you that the assets versus liability columns, they don't always automatically add up themselves. So you may have to do that manual calculation to make sure that number is accurate. Don't rely on the form to do the calculations for you. There are some areas in the net worth statement that they ask for, but it doesn't necessarily count against your personal net worth. For instance, retirement accounts. We all know that most people do have retirement accounts that may exceed the threshold of being eligible for the certification. But they still ask for that information anyway. And I also want to remind you that in order to be eligible, you have to be 51% owner of the company, and it has to be for-profit company as well. So I'm going to pause on that particular section right there, Marvin, to see if there's any questions on the personal net worth statement.
So far, none.
Looks like Jeanette might be typing.
Uh-oh.
I'll wait because I do have lots of questions, but I don't want to overtake the meeting. So go ahead.
Okay. All right. Then we're going to keep pressing. So then your personal federal tax returns. And so this is, again, for the 51% owner of the company. You could be the 100% owner of your company, but they're looking for 3 years of your personal tax returns. And then they're also looking for your signature page. So where most of us e-file, and we have our e-file signature, They now want a wet signature, meaning you will have to print that page, put your wet signature on that page, and then reattach it to your personal federal tax returns. And you need to do that for each of the 3 years. Next is business federal tax returns. They're asking for 5 years. Now, if you've only been in business 1 year and you do not have those other 4 years, the way you get around that is complete a Word document. I recommend that you put your application number, you put the name of your business, and just a simple statement that says, you started your business in 2025, so the other 4 years don't apply. So therefore, you do not have business federal tax returns to report. But you need to have that statement. You can do it in a Word document, but you'll need to PDF it because they'll only accept PDF in the application. But you need to do that for each year. So you can't just upload it and say, okay, that covers all 4 years that don't apply to me. You have to upload that for each year. And again, with the personal federal tax returns, you will need to have a wet signature on the signature page. The e-file signature does not apply. And I'm going to pause there, Marvin, to see if there's any questions.
None so far.
Okay. Year-end financial statements. So these do not have to be from a certified CPA. These could be your Excel spreadsheets, but you need to make sure that they're PDF. They could, if you're doing your own financials, you can download it from whatever application that you may or may not be using, but they need 3 years of your financial statements. Again, if that does not apply for you, do the same thing. Create a Word document with your application number, your business name, and say that you do not have, excuse me, 3 years of financial statements because you've only been in business 1 year, or whatever the case may be. Now, your bank signature authorization card. So when you opened up your business banking account, you should have also got a bank signature authorization saying who is authorized to sign for and make decisions on the bank account. So if you don't have that, you want to go get that from your bank. And then the list of equipment. They've gotten very strict about the list of equipment. They now want, if you have laptops, if you have computers, if you have business cell phones, they want that list of equipment, and that's what they want uploaded. So that is like the basic equipment, but you could have additional equipment, such as if you have forklifts, if you have any other type of equipment that you may use, lawnmowers or things of that nature. You need to just make sure you provide that list of all the equipment that you use for your business. And then the official articles of organization. This is something that you should have submitted when you went to get your business registered in the state of Maryland. You should already have that articles of organization. And so that was pretty much the mandatory documents. Now we're kind of getting into a little bit of the certification application. So this is what it looks like for a limited liability corporation. Again, it is a PDF document. However, it is not a fillable PDF document. So you will have to handwrite all this information, and it is about 17 pages. So make sure you complete it, answer all the questions, and then upload the application once you sign and complete it. That declaration of eligibility, again, you would fill it in with your name, your applicable socioeconomic category, and then your signature and upload it. It does not need to be notarized. Proof of contributions, your state business registration receipt, good standing, domain receipts, accounting receipts, EIN letter. Any of these are acceptable methods, and this list is not inclusive. If you have other proof of contributions, you can provide those as well. Mandatory documents, your proof of good standing status with SDAT. So every year, no later than the 15th of April, you need to have that proof of good standing. One case, the individual didn't start her business to July, and she's now applying for certification. So of course, she's not going to have that letter because it's due by April 15th of each year. But again, she will have to state why she does not have that particular letter. There is a cost to get those copies. It's $20. But then there's also an additional $20 for the expedited fee. There's no way around it. Just basically say the cost to get the good standing certificate is $40, even though the expedited fee will just present you a downloadable PDF document right away after you pay the money. So I'll just leave that at that. It is $40. And then this is what the certificate of good standing looks like. This is what you're looking for. The company is at this time of the certificate in good standing to transact business. Resume. This will be for all your owners, your officers, and key personnel. Again, that language that was mentioned in part one of the workshop, make sure that who does the day-to-day operations, financial decisions, sign contracts, things like that. Make sure that is in your resume. Make sure that your North American Industry Classification Code, which is your NAICS code experience, is listed in your resume. Mandatory documents, again, passports, birth certificate, driver's license. These are types of documents that can provide that proof of U.S. citizenship. Personal net worth statement. This is what the form looks like. Again, this is down here where it says personal net worth that I circled here in red. You want to make sure that this number, this bottom line number that you have here matches the section 1 through 4. And I think it's section 4, one of the questions that asks, what is your personal net worth? And it was just a question that you put that dollar figure in. Make sure those two match. If they don't, that will be a red flag to stall your application. And the way that you fill that out, again, you would complete each worksheet as applicable. And then once you complete that worksheet, you come back and enter that dollar figure here in the appropriate column. We talked about making sure that you have a wet signature on your tax documents. So that's personal and business. Financial statements, this is what they're looking for. Balance sheet, profit and loss. You do not have to have audited financial statements, and they do not have to be completed by a CPA, but they're also asking for 3 months of bank statements as well. That signature authorization card, make sure that it has the bank name, it has the name of your business, and then it also has your name if you are the person that's authorized to make transactions on that account. Mandatory, the equipment. So in part one, we talked about the equipment and or vehicles that are owned and leased by the business. So this is the question 4C1, indicating your firm's equipment and vehicles. So if you have a POV that you use for your business, they're looking for you to enter that there. The value they want for perhaps like a Kelley Blue Book value, and you will also have to upload a copy now of that quote that you got from perhaps Kelley Blue Book or what other service you use to get a value for your vehicle. Your workspace, you would just indicate what your office location is. If that's your home, you would just enter that. And then if you have storage for your business, such as a warehouse or something like that, you would enter that information. And this what I'm covering right now was from part one, but I'm going over it because you have to provide that specific documentation. The articles of organization, it'll be those ones that you have opened your business with, perhaps with the state of Maryland, Maryland, and then any amended operating agreements, perhaps if you've changed addresses or you've changed your percent of ownership or anything like that. So you would upload the original plus any amended agreements. And if you don't have a operating agreement, you can always Google it and and get sort of a template. There are, of course, all people out there that want to try and charge you for getting a operating agreement, but you can Google it and get this template. And this is the basic information that they want to see in your operating agreement. Where is your business located? What is the name? Why are you in business? Who manages the business? How do you keep your books, your records, and your tax returns? And then in the event that you dissolve or liquidate your business, how is that done? So it's just that simple. You do not have to pay someone to develop a articles of organization for you. Now, the next category, I'm going to pause before I get into the document list that if it applies to your company. Marvin, Lisa. Hey, Lisa, welcome, welcome.
There's a few questions.
Okay.
One of them says, what does the Word document need? My application number and what?
So your application number, the name of your company, and then just a brief statement as to why that particular document does not apply to your business. And then I would just say sign and date it.
Okay.
All the documents that you upload into the online system, they have to be PDF documents. They can't be Word documents.
All right. And the next one, can you apply to get certification? Your business is new less than 1 year.
Yes.
Okay. The next question, would you recommend that we register with the state and then wait a few years before starting this application process?
I can't give you a recommendation on that. It's totally up to you. I did mine in the same year that I started my business. My rationale was to try to get some of the foundational documentation out of the way before I actually got into doing most of the work. That way, that was behind me. I had all that paperwork because that takes about 6 months right now. So if you're looking to get a contract with the state of Maryland and using one of those certifications, it's taking about 6 months.
Okay. And is that 3 months of business bank account?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Were there any other questions right now? Guess not.
All right. So if applicable, so this is the other section. So I'm going to show you a quick way to kind of narrow down this list that if it does not apply to your business, how do you make it kind of disappear, go away, and not be as visible on your dashboard? So as you can see here at the top, it says mark as not applicable. For instance, if you are not part of a Native American group membership or enrollment, if that doesn't apply to you, you would check that box. If you're not an additional owner of another business, you would check that box. And then when you get to the end, there will be a button that says lock in. And when you click that lock in button, it will say this doc, instead of not attached, it'll say not applicable. And so that is a way that if it doesn't apply to you, the system is not looking for you to upload that document because you have said it doesn't apply. Okay. So now let's go through some of the ones that may apply to most people. And so again, if you are going for the MBE, which is a minority business enterprise, this is where the DBE, which is the disadvantaged business enterprise, or the airport concession DBE, you will need this social and economic disadvantage personal narrative. This is fairly new within the past year. I don't exactly know what that statement looks like because it's brand new, and people that already have their certification, we're going to have to go back and provide that in order to be continued certified if that applies to us. Um, so we already talked about the additional business owned, but the proof of good standing. This is one that particularly applies to most people. So you would provide that documented proof, like I showed you that good standing certificate, and then upload it. Quarterly state unemployment tax reports. If you are not paying state unemployment taxes right now, then this does not apply to you. But if you do have employees and you are paying them W-2 wages, you should have this particular tax wage report. All home state DBE and SB certifications. So there is a reciprocity between Maryland and other states. So if you already have these certifications in another state, you can upload those so you can have reciprocity in the state of Maryland. Your personal licenses and permits. So for instance, they're looking for professional licenses, such as if you're an engineer or if you're a general contractor, that's the type of licenses they're looking for if you are a daycare provider. And then any permits or anything that are needed for your business, that's what they're looking for. So you would upload those particular licenses, permits, if they apply to your business. And then agreements. In workshop number 1, we talked about agreements. They're looking for your top 3 agreements that you have executed as far as any contracts, loans, and things like that. If they doesn't apply to you, then again, you would just check that box that it doesn't apply. You can also do your home state MBE and WBE certifications as well for that reciprocity. Corporate capability statement and or business plan. It says if you're less than 1 year old, you're encouraged, but it's not required to submit either of those. So for those who have been in business for over a year, either upload a capability statement and or business plan. And Lisa and team at the Maryland Capital Enterprise, they can help you with those documents. And then your state issued vehicle taxes, vehicle titles, and registration, they need that. If you use your POVs as part of your business as well, they're going to want those titles and or registrations, and then also insurance policies for those vehicles. You will need to upload those. And then job contracts or invoices, your last 3 job contracts or invoices that you have for your company. If it doesn't apply because you have not had any revenue to date, then it would be not applicable. And then any trust agreements that you may have for your business and any other additional supporting documentation that's not listed above that you think that they should be aware of, you would upload that. Now, keep in mind that the additional supporting documentation that you provide, it will be reviewed. So just make sure that it is accurate if you do upload additional documents. And then again, here at the bottom where it says lock in, it says attach each document above or check the box to indicate that it doesn't apply. That is the lock in button to say that those things don't apply. And over here to the right where it says not attached, it will now change to green and say not applicable. So a little bit more detail, if applicable documents, that Native American group, additional business owned. Most of these 3 don't apply to the majority of people. So click that, click the button that says that it doesn't apply if that is for your company. I'm going back to workshop 1 where we talked about licenses and contracts. So if you go to these questions within your application, here's where they're asking for you to answer the question. And then when the documents come, they're asking you to provide the proof of those answers. So if you have contracts for the past 3 years and you list those contracts and projects, they're looking for the documentation to support it. Now, once you complete all of that, you've already been through workshop 1, you've completed section 1 through 4. Now you've gotten down here to your document list, and you completed all the documents that apply to your business, the mandatory and if applicable one. This is what your dashboard should look like. All green, meaning you have completed all the required sections. You've also, in this particular case, they've signed it and they have submitted it. I want to also remind people you have 90 days to complete your application. So I recommend before you get started, come back, review everything that you may need before you start, because that clock will start ticking, life will happen, and next thing you know, you'll have a week to get your application done. I had someone reach out to me at like 10 a.m. on one day. And I said, I'm sorry, but I can't help you. I'm going on vacation. And she needed to get her application in by that Saturday. So don't let life happen to you and you've started the application. And if you don't get it done in those 90 days, your application will be deleted and you will have to start over. So some key takeaways. Again, application is free. It's free to apply. It's free to get certified. You don't have to pay anyone to get help in completing your application. You're going to essentially be giving over your documents to a third party just so that they can come into your application and upload it. But if they have any questions, guess what? They're coming back to you. So it is time consuming. However, take the time to make sure that you have all your documents assembled. You know that you can answer the questions before you start your application. That way, when you hit the online button to start, your clock starts ticking and you're already ready to get it done within perhaps 1 or 2 sittings. I always recommend that you create a folder on your desktop and start dropping the documents that apply to your company in it, to include that document that I recommended that if it doesn't apply to your business, dropping a copy of that in there as well. And you can look at the checklist, because again, you have to complete the checklist manually anyway. And that checklist is your guide as to what questions will be asked and what documents are needed to support it. Consider completing a uniform certified application for multiple certifications, because it's going to be the same questions and documentations for each one for the most part. So might as well apply for multiple certifications at one time. It is a 4-step application review process. So the first step is basically you submitting your information and submitting your application. They doing a review to make sure everything is there. But then they also do a deeper dive, and now they're going to actually perhaps do a visit. The visit could be a virtual visit or it could be an in-person visit to make sure you essentially do have an office. You are doing what you say you were going to do in your application. And then the last step is making that decision. Either you are approved or disapproved for your application. We went into detail about required information and documents. Again, I just want to say the first half, it asks all the questions. The second half is asking you to provide proof of documentation to support those questions that you answer. And then that personal net worth, the majority owner information section, where it's in section 3, where it's asked you for that personal net worth, it asks for the dollar amount, but it makes sure that that dollar amount matches the personal net worth that you've entered on the statement itself. And then I always recommend that you retain a copy of your completed application, because you may forget it, with it taking 6 months, you may forget what question you answered and what documents you uploaded. If you have a copy of your completed application, you can refer back to it if you should get a question. They also now provide a 30-minute cursory review. It is free. I highly recommend that once you have completed your application, that you take advantage of that 30-minute cursory review. What they'll do is just do a quick review of your application and let you know if there's any key pieces of information and or documentation that you're missing, so that they don't start reviewing your application in our formal setting, and you're at the 5 month mark and you have a lot of information or documentation missing. And so it's going to delay getting your application through the approval process. So with that, I'm going to pause and see if there's any more questions because we are at the end of the presentation.
Okay. So Rizarda says, I have the same question. I think she was talking about the bank statements, but just if not, you can unmute if you like. It says, I'm also looking for a mentor.
So Marvin had that question as well. And I suggested that they reach out to you, Lisa, at the Maryland Capital Enterprise.
Okay. And I did put my information in the chat with my email and phone number. And what about professional certifications, or is it only licenses?
So professional certification, sort of, if you're like referring to like PMP, project management professionals, they're not looking for that type of certification. They're looking for like engineers and general contractors, those type of certifications.
Okay.
Licensed plumbers and electricians, those types.
Okay. And then it says, please speak more about concession.
The airport concessions. I will tell you, I'm not very versed in the airport concessions. I know they are looking for particular industries for the airport concessions. For the most part, when we have these workshops, most people are looking for the Mbe.Dbe.Sbe and SBE. Airport concessions is sort of a one-off, but there are specifics in industries that typically that applies to for that business.
Okay. Let me see. Would a spiritual educational business have a space in federal contract?
So this workshop is to help you get through the certification process. I don't want to do a one-off and answer that question. I can defer to Lisa, but I can't tell you if there are state contracts out there for your particular industry.
Spiritual educational business based in federal contract. Let me find out. Let me ask around and see if I can find out anything about that, because I'm not sure myself. I've never had that question before, and I don't want to give you the wrong answer. So so let me just talk to a couple people and get back to you. I have your email, so I can reach out to you that way. Any other questions? You're welcome, Jennifer.
I do have a question.
Question it.
Okay, I'm back to the concession thing again because like, is there a listing that says you can have these kinds of businesses, or because mine isn't a spiritual education, but it's not like food and drink or anything like that. So but I really, this is a really good business model that I want to present. And how can I find out? Like,
So I put in the chat at the beginning of this workshop the link to the certification website where you can get more information on the ACDBE.
Okay, I got that. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Oh, and for the mentor aspect of it, so
when you're looking for a mentor, do you mean for your business, or are you talking about for somebody helping you with this application?
somebody helping me with the application, the whole process.
Okay. So that as far as the application, that would be something I would have to set up with Rosalind, since we would have to see when she's available that she could help you with your application.
Okay. Would you help me, Miss Rosalind, please?
But you have to work through Lisa. It has to come through Lisa.
Yeah. So I'll reach out to you and then connect with Rosalind and see what a good time is for you guys to get together.
Awesome. That would be amazing. Thank y'all so much.
You're welcome. All right. So we do have other classes coming up, so make sure you stay and check with our website. If you're not on our newsletter list, then send me your email. Well, I have your email, but let me know that you want to be added to the newsletter. That way you know when we have workshops coming up or events coming up. And I'm not sure if Bucky mentioned at the beginning that we have our annual Women's Business Conference. We do it every March. It's March 6th, and it's from 9 to 3 at the Civic Center in Salisbury. We have a lot of different vendors there. We have keynote speakers. We have a panel discussion. So it's a lot of fun, great prizes throughout the day. Your ticket includes breakfast, a hot buffet lunch, snacks in the afternoon. We have a cupcake raffle. So there's lots of fun things going on. And it's great networking. So if you're able to make it, we would love you guys to come. But I want to thank Rosalind so much for sharing her knowledge with us. She does such a great job with this, and we appreciate you, Rosalind.
You're very welcome. And while you were going over your services again, I did find some information I'm going to put in the chat, Jeanette, about the ACDBE certification.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions for anybody? So be sure to email me if you want to be added to the newsletter list, or if you have any questions about the conference or any classes that we have coming up. Thank you so much, Rosalind.
You're very welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Again, stay safe, stay warm out there.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
You do as well. That's amazing.